All right, get this.
Ah,
We're diving into a list of the top 10 most overhated things in life.
really?
Yeah,
Huh.
a real list from the Top 10's website. You've got to admit, the very idea of ranking hate is kind of hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny,
Right.
but it's also kind of
But it also makes you think.
makes you think, yeah.
What pushes something from just disliked to like full-blown overhated? We're
Yeah.
talking like everything from Justin Bieber
Oh, wow.
to common sense itself.
Really?
Yeah, get ready for some like serious unpacking.
Interesting. What's fascinating to me is how the list creator distinguishes between hating something and overhating it.
Right.
There's a subtle difference, isn't there?
Totally. I mean, we all have pet peeves, but this list feels like it's tapping into some kind of like collective frustration, almost like a cultural pressure valve.
Exactly. Disliking something is often like personal,
Yeah.
tied to individual taste, but when something becomes overhated, it suggests a shared sentiment, maybe even a bit of like bandwagon effect.
Oh, yeah.
Like the internet amplifies those opinions, turning a mild dislike into a full-blown meme-worthy hate fest.
Totally.
Yeah.
So to kick things off, let's talk about something near and dear to my heart, education.
Okay.
Ironically, both school and reading made the list.
Wow.
Who knew learning could be so divisive?
Yeah, the irony is definitely there. Think about it. School is often our first experience with like a structured learning environment.
Right.
We're thrown into the system with its rules and expectations, and of course, standardized tests.
Yeah.
No wonder some people develop a negative association with learning.
Yeah, speaking of standardized tests, are they a good measure of intelligence, or are they more about just, like, teaching to the test? Tell us about your own experiences in the comments.
Oh, yeah, let us know.
But back to the list.
Mm-hmm.
Even reading gets some hate.
Interesting.
Like, haven't these people discovered the joy of getting lost in a good book?
One user cleverly compared reading a novel to watching a long-running TV show.
Oh, interesting.
You can enjoy a show without watching every episode, but you can't just jump into the middle of a novel and expect to understand what's going on.
Right.
Perhaps for some, the commitment feels daunting in our age of instant gratification.
Maybe they just haven't found the right book yet.
Yeah, that's true.
But, you know, this whole conversation about school and reading makes me think about how our early experiences shape our relationship with learning as adults.
Absolutely. If those experiences were negative, it's understandable why someone might carry that dislike into adulthood.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, maybe some people just genuinely prefer, like, hands-on learning or absorbing information through different mediums.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of absorbing information, let's move from the classroom to the screen. Entertainment. And buckle up, because this category is a wild ride.
Oh.
From Frozen to, wait for it, baby shows.
Entertainment.
Yeah.
A realm where nostalgia, personal preference, and good old-fashioned bandwagon hate collide.
Oh, yeah.
It's no surprise to see beloved Disney movies and kids' shows sparking heated debates.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes a catchy tune can get stuck in your head for days, driving you up the wall.
Yeah.
But what about those specific shows they called out, like Peppa Pig and the Cars franchise? What's behind all that hate?
Well, generational gaps play a huge role here.
Right.
What a toddler finds delightful might be utterly grating to an adult.
Yeah.
Remember, things that cater to young kids are often designed to be repetitive and simple, which can be fingernails on a chalkboard to someone outside that target demographic.
Totally. And with the internet, those opinions get amplified, turning a mild annoyance into a full-blown meme fest. I'm curious, though, is there a piece of pop culture you secretly love, even if it's considered overhated? Don't be shy. Let us know in the comments.
We all have our guilty pleasures.
Right.
Sometimes it's about finding the humor in something that's so bad it's good.
Right. All right. Time to face the music, literally. This list pits pop music against rap music.
Wow.
Two genres that are no strangers to criticism, especially their modern iterations.
It's interesting how the comments highlight this generational divide.
Right.
Classic artists like Michael Jackson and Tupac get praised,
Yeah.
while newer figures like Ariana Grande and Lil Pump are often criticized.
Totally. You know, I used to be a diehard metalhead who scoffed at pop music.
Oh, wow.
But then I heard this one Ariana Grande song,
Yeah.
and it totally changed my perspective.
Interesting.
Sometimes you need to step outside your comfort zone to appreciate different genres.
Music has this amazing ability to evoke strong emotions, and those emotions are often tied to our personal experiences and cultural context.
Yeah.
What was once considered rebellious can become mainstream, and vice versa.
For sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of strong reactions, let's move on to the category of people.
Ah, this should be interesting.
Oh, it is. And leading the pack is none other than Justin Bieber. Buckle up for some serious Bieber hate.
The Biebs. A classic example of someone who elicits either intense love or equally intense dislike, rarely anything in between.
The comments are wild. One user even claimed Bieber is more hated than dictators who've killed millions.
It's a stark example of how celebrity worship and backlash can go to extremes. What's fascinating here is the psychology of fame and how we project our own feelings onto public figures.
It's almost like we build them up just to tear them down later. Bieber isn't alone, though. The list also targets sensitive people, narcissists, and even, wait for it, babies.
Now, those categories are interesting because they tap into broader social dynamics and potential biases.
Right. It's easy to throw those labels around, but as some users pointed out, they don't always tell the whole story.
Take sensitive people, for example. One user argued that sensitivity is on a spectrum, and labeling someone as overly sensitive can be dismissive and hurtful.
It's like we're quick to judge without considering individual experiences or the context of the situation.
Exactly. And then there's babies. I mean, sure, they cry, they need constant attention, but overhated.
One user jumped to their defense, pointing out that babies are literally still developing. They can't be held to the same standards as adults. It's a good reminder to have a little compassion, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of needing a little compassion, let's talk about the autism entry. This one sparks some really passionate responses defending autistic people and challenging harmful stereotypes.
It's a crucial reminder to be mindful of the language we use and the impact our words can have, especially when discussing sensitive topics.
It's a powerful reminder that understanding and acceptance are key. And speaking of needing understanding, let's shift gears to some more abstract concepts. This is where the list gets really thought-provoking. We're talking common sense, cussing, and mental illnesses.
Okay, hold on. Common sense is overhated, isn't it? Well, common.
You'd think so. But the comments reveal a lot of frustration with the idea that common sense isn't always so common. What seems obvious to one person can be completely foreign to another, depending on their background and experiences.
It's like that saying, common sense is the least common of all senses.
Exactly. One user even pointed out that what we call common sense is often a collection of learned behaviors and social norms, not some innate wisdom we're all born with.
So the next time someone says, it's just common sense, maybe we should ask, common to whom? It's all about perspective, right?
Precisely. And when it comes to cussing, those perspectives are all over the map. Some find it offensive, others see it as harmless, even cathartic in certain situations.
Oh, totally. Remember that user who defended cursing after an injury? I think we've all been there. Stub your toe hard enough and suddenly you're a Shakespearean sailor.
It highlights how context and intent play a huge role in how we perceive language. But then we have mental illnesses on this list of overhated things, which is just heartbreaking.
It really is. It speaks to the stigma that still surrounds mental health, the lack of understanding, and the fear that often leads to discrimination.
One user made a powerful point. Mental illnesses are not something to be hated, but rather something to be understood and treated with compassion. It's a reminder that seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness.
And that we need to create a society where people feel comfortable talking about their mental health without judgment. Okay, brace yourself, because this list takes a sharp turn from the profound to, well, the unexpected. We're talking bees, spiders, and fidget spinners.
It's like the list went from existential dread to primal fear to fidgety boredom.
Exactly. And it's fascinating how those seemingly random entries can actually reveal deeply rooted phobias and aversions.
Think about it. Fear of spiders or arachnophobia is one of the most common phobias. It's probably wired into us from our ancestors. Those creepy crawlies were a legitimate threat back in the day.
But hey, some users came to the defense of our eight-legged friends, pointing out their crucial role in the ecosystem as natural pest controllers. They even had some love for bees, highlighting their importance for pollination and honey production.
It's a great reminder that even the things we fear can serve important purposes in the grand scheme of things.
And then there are the fidget spinners. Remember those?
Yeah.
They were everywhere for like 5 minutes and then poof, gone.
A classic example of the fickleness of trends. What's hot today is often yesterday's news. One user even argued that the hate for fidget spinners was more about their overuse. They became a symbol of everything annoying about trends, rather than being inherently bad themselves.
It's like sometimes our dislike for something is more about the context in which we experience it.
Exactly. Now, speaking of things that can be annoying in the wrong context, let's venture into the world of sounds. The list calls out loud chewing and clicking pens.
Oh, those are personal attacks. I swear, the sound of someone crunching on chips next to me is enough to make me want to climb the walls.
Misophonia, the hatred of specific sounds, is a real thing, and it can be incredibly debilitating for some people. Those seemingly innocuous noises can trigger intense anxiety, anger, even physical discomfort.
It's definitely not just about being picky. One user even described it as a fight-or-flight response.
Exactly. Their brain is interpreting those sounds as a threat, triggering a cascade of stress hormones.
So the next time you see someone lose it over a clicking pen, maybe try a little empathy instead of judgment. You never know what sensory battles they might be fighting.
Speaking of battles, let's wade into some potentially choppy waters with the topic of cyberbullying.
This one hits close to home for a lot of people, especially in today's hyper-connected world. The internet can be a breeding ground for negativity and cruelty.
The list creator acknowledges the very real consequences of cyberbullying. It can spill over into real life, leading to depression, anxiety, even self-harm.
Man, it's so much harder to escape than traditional bullying. You can block someone online, but they can always find new ways to harass and intimidate.
It's a constant battle for many, and it highlights the urgent need for greater awareness, education, and online safety measures.
Speaking of things that can be both beautiful and dangerous, let's talk about the ocean.
The vast and mysterious ocean. It's a source of wonder and inspiration, but it can also be a source of fear and danger.
I mean, it's literally an alien world down there. Giant squids, sharks, crushing pressure.
Yeah.
It's enough to make anyone a little uneasy.
Our relationship with the ocean is complex. We're drawn to its beauty and power, but we also recognize its potential for destruction, from tsunamis to rising sea levels.
And let's not forget the impact of pollution and overfishing.
Absolutely. We need to find a balance between respecting the ocean's power and taking responsibility for its well-being.
Okay, from the depths of the ocean to, well, the depths of human bureaucracy. The list calls out taxes as something we all love to hate.
Taxes. That unavoidable reality of modern life. It's easy to see why they would make the list. No one likes parting with their hard-earned money.
The comments are full of frustration about where that money goes and whether it's being used effectively. It's a complex issue with valid arguments on both sides. Some see taxes as essential for funding public services, while others see them as an unfair burden.
It's a reminder that finding the right balance between individual responsibility and societal needs is an ongoing challenge.
Okay, from the practical to the paranormal, the list throws ghosts into the mix.
Ghosts. Now we're getting into the realm of the unexplained, the spooky, and the things that go bump in the night.
I'm curious, do you believe in ghosts?
I'm a scientist at heart, so I tend to look for rational explanations. But I also recognize that there are things in this world that we can't fully explain, and that leaves room for the possibility of, well, let's just say I keep an open mind.
I like that, an open mind. But why do you think ghosts, whether real or imagined, end up on a list of overhated things?
Perhaps it's the fear of the unknown, the idea of something unseen that can influence our world. Or maybe it's the frustration of not having concrete answers, the uncertainty that leaves us feeling vulnerable.
It's interesting how our reactions to the unexplained often reveal our deepest fears and anxiety.
Exactly. And speaking of things that tap into our primal fears, the list also includes spiders.
Oh, those eight-legged wonders. I'll admit, I'm not their biggest fan. I get why they make people squirm.
Arachnophobia is incredibly common, and it's likely rooted in our evolutionary history. Spiders were a legitimate threat to our ancestors, so it makes sense that we'd have a built-in aversion to them.
But hey, several users pointed out that spiders are actually beneficial. They keep insect populations in check. It's like maybe we should appreciate them from afar.
A healthy respect is always good. And speaking of things we might want to appreciate from afar, how about Fortnite?
Oh, Fortnite.
Ah.
That game sparked some intense opinions. It seems like you either loved it or hated it. There was no in-between.
Fortnite is a great example of the backlash against popularity. When something becomes mainstream, it often becomes a target for those who want to set themselves apart. It's like a coolness paradox. The more popular something gets, the less cool it becomes to like it.
One user even argued that the Fortnite hate base was more annoying than the fan base. They said a lot of the criticism lacked substance and was just fueled by a desire to be contrarian.
It's a reminder that sometimes the hate is more about the hater than the hated.
So true.
Mm.
Okay, from virtual battles to real-life struggles, this list calls out vegetables.
Ah, vegetables. Those nutritional powerhouses that some people love to devour and others avoid like the plague. It's all about taste, isn't it?
Totally. And those taste preferences are often shaped by childhood experiences. We all remember those battles with our parents trying to get us to eat our broccoli.
One user even pointed out that our palates evolve over time. What we once rejected might become a staple in our adult diets.
It's like maybe we just need to find the right way to prepare those veggies. A little roasting, a dash of seasoning. Suddenly, Brussels sprouts become gourmet.
Exactly. Speaking of evolving perspectives, let's talk about a topic that can be really sensitive. Interracial couple.
The fact that this is even on a list of overhated things is a stark reminder that prejudice and discrimination still exist in our world.
It speaks volumes about the progress we still need to make in terms of acceptance and inclusivity. Love knows no boundaries, and judging a couple based on their race or ethnicity is simply unacceptable.
Well said. Okay, buckle up because we're about to enter the realm of conspiracy theories with the Illuminati.
Ah, the Illuminati, that shadowy organization that conspiracy theorists love to blame for everything.
The comments are a fascinating mix of skepticism, fascination, and outright paranoia. Some people genuinely believe they're a powerful cabal controlling world events, while others dismiss them as a harmless internet myth.
It's a reminder that the human mind is drawn to mystery and intrigue. We love a good conspiracy theory.
Maybe it's our way of trying to make sense of a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable.
Exactly. Sometimes it's easier to believe in a hidden hand controlling everything than to accept the randomness of life.
Speaking of things that can feel random and fleeting, remember fidget spinners.
Oh, those were a whirlwind. They seem to appear out of nowhere, take over the world, and then vanish just as quickly.
The comments highlight how quickly trends can rise and fall.
One user argued that the hate for fidget spinners was primarily driven by their sudden popularity and overuse. They became a symbol of everything annoying about trends rather than being inherently bad themselves.
It's like sometimes our dislike for something is more about the context in which we experience it than the thing itself.
Exactly. Now, ready for a deep dive into the world of politics?
Hit me with it. I'm ready for anything at this point. Right, let's talk politics. The list calls out Donald Trump, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden.
Oh.
Three figures who definitely know how to spark a heated debate.
Yeah, it's like the political arena is designed to amplify strong opinions.
Right.
These figures, whether you love them or hate them, have become lightning rods for our, societal anxieties and divisions.
And the comments reflect those divisions.
Yeah.
It's wild to see the range of perspectives from, die-hard supporters to, passionate critics, all clashing in the digital space.
It's a reminder that we live in a world where differing political views often lead to hostility rather than understanding.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that these figures are more than just names on a ballot.
Right.
They represent complex ideologies and policies that impact people's lives in profound ways.
Totally. So let's unpack those ideologies and policies, starting with Donald Trump.
Okay.
He's a figure who consistently elicits strong reactions, both positive and negative.
Yeah.
What's your take on the Trump phenomenon?
Well, Trump's rise to power can be seen as a reaction to a growing sense of, economic anxiety and cultural displacement among certain segments of the population.
Yeah.
His supporters were drawn to his outsider status, his promises to shake up the establishment, and his unapologetically nationalist rhetoric.
But his critics saw him as a threat to, democratic norms.
Yeah.
A demagogue who appealed to people's fears and prejudices.
Right.
His presidency was definitely a tumultuous time in American history.
Absolutely. And it's important to understand both the appeal and the dangers of his brand of populism.
Yeah.
Now, let's shift gears to Barack Obama,
Oh.
the first African-American president of the United States. A historic moment.
Obama's presidency was full of hope and promise for many, but he also faced intense opposition and obstructionism from his political rivals.
Right.
How do you see his legacy?
Well, Obama's election represented a significant step forward in terms of racial progress in America.
Yeah.
He was seen as a symbol of hope and change, and his eloquence and charisma inspired millions.
But his presidency was also marked by challenges like The ongoing wars in Iraq and Afghanistan,
Mm-hmm.
the Great Recession, the rise of partisan gridlock in Washington.
Right, he faced a lot of criticism for his handling of certain foreign policy issues,
Yeah.
and some felt he didn't go far enough in addressing, like, economic inequality or reforming the criminal justice system.
It's a reminder that even the most popular and well-respected leaders are not without their flaws,
Yeah.
and that evaluating their accomplishments requires a nuanced perspective.
Exactly. And finally, we have Joe Biden, the current president of the United States.
Biden came into office promising to unite the country and restore a sense of normalcy after the chaos of the Trump years.
Mm-hmm.
How's he doing so far?
Well, Biden's presidency has been marked by a number of crises,
Yeah.
from the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic to the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan to the war in Ukraine.
He's also facing a deeply divided Congress and a country that feels increasingly polarized.
It's a tough job, and it's too early to say what his legacy will be.
Yeah.
But it's clear that he faces an uphill battle in trying to bridge the political divide and address the many challenges facing the nation.
It's like every presidency is a reflection of the times, and Biden's is no exception. He's grappling with some of the biggest issues of our generation.
Right.
Well, we've certainly covered a lot of ground today, haven't we? From Justin Bieber to Joe Biden, from Frozen to fidget spinners, we've explored the vast and often hilarious world of overhated things.
It's been a fascinating journey into the depths of human opinion, revealing our shared anxieties, our cultural biases, and the things that push our buttons.
And remember, the goal of this deep dive wasn't just to, wallow in negativity, but to understand the why behind the hate.
Exactly. By exploring these overhated things, we can learn a lot about ourselves, about our society, and about the things that make us tick.
So keep those minds open, keep those conversations flowing, and most importantly, keep diving deep.
Until next time.